Hey guys, welcome back. So now we have talked about my background. We talked about what happened before I went through my awakening. Now I'm gonna talk about the actual awakening. It's an awakening, so it's beautiful and it's new and you're happy, but you also have those down times where you're feeling isolated and like confused, and there's no one that you can talk to. That's the main thing, is that who can you talk to unless you're around people who are in the same mindset already, who are already conscious. Then if you're around those people, then you're going to be okay going through this process because they can help you. But if you're not around people that are already in that mindset, then it's like you have all these questions, and sometimes it's just things that you need to just talk out and have someone listen so that you can get it together mentally. But if you don't have anybody that is already in this place or in this space mentally, it just makes it very, very, very difficult. So, I mean, hopefully you're watching videos like this, you're YouTubing stuff, you're Googling things, you're journaling, you're doing all of that. That should help you with this process and make it a tiny bit easier. But yeah, it's just one of those things that you go through, and just remember, it will get better. It will get better. It will get better. Right? So, for me, I would say that my awakening included my Kundalini arising or coming up. And so, remember I told you I was reading The Power of Now, and I found this stillness. And so, in this stillness, apparently I somehow triggered my Kundalini, which is an energy force that sits like at the very bottom of your spine, like at the very, very, very bottom of your spine. And so it's just energy that's just sitting there, just holding. And once, it doesn't happen always from what I Google and what I read, but once it does become active, it comes up your spine and it moves. And it feels kind of good, and because it's weird, it's new, it's like, ooh, what's going on? This is my experience, and I say that not everybody has it, and I don't think it's a bad thing that you don't have it. I don't know, so I won't go into detail because I'll really just be speculating. But for me, how it worked for me is that I would be laying down on the bed, and what would get me in the mode or in the zone is that I would have to relax my entire body. And the way that I relax my body, ironically, maybe like a week or 2 weeks before all of this happened, I was doing a yoga tape, and I tried out some yoga, and there was a cooling down exercise at the very end where basically you lay down flat, and then the instructor walks you through relaxing all of your muscles. And so basically it's like, feel your feet, feel the bottom of your feet, and the bottom of your feet is touching the floor, and notice how it's touching the floor. And then you relax, and then you move up to your ankles, and you move up to your calves and your knees, and you're going to notice all of that, how it's touching the floor. So you're bringing your conscious to these different parts of your body, and you're doing it all the way up your body. So by the end of it, your entire body is just flat, relaxed like a noodle. You're just super relaxed. And so I don't know how I knew. That's how things happen with this. I just so happened to watch this tape. I just so happened to put these two together, and it just so happened to work for me. Of course, it's never just so happened, but that's how it goes. So I took that exercise and I used it for my stillness. And so as I'm laying down in the bed, I relax my whole body that way, and then I sit in the stillness. And then as me sitting in the stillness, that's when this energy from my spine would move up my back. And for me, I haven't read it anywhere else or heard anyone else say it, but it would have me moving. And I just allowed it to move whichever way it wanted to move. It was going up and down. Like, that's all it's gonna do. It's gonna go up and down, at least for me. It just went up and down my spine. I just felt it. And so my body just moved it. And I had no idea what it was. I didn't know what to Google in order to find it. I think I Googled something about like something moving in your bag, and of course that was too general. It never popped up. And I think maybe I found it by watching just somebody randomly on YouTube and had the word Kundalini, and I was like, what is this word? It doesn't make any sense. And so I watched the video. I don't know, she was probably talking about something else, and I was interested in the other thing. And so after I watched the video, I was like, oh my goodness, that is what it is. That's what's happening. So of course I just started Googling, and then that led me down like a long trail of like long information that I could like relate to. And a lot of stuff that you Google about is going to tell you about a lot of other awakening process and awakening things that happen in your life. But for me, I feel like all of that is the awakening, but the Kundalini made the most part. I guess it was kind of it was a big part for me, just because it helped me with releasing my body and letting go of fear with things that were happening to me and not understanding, and it was just being free. That's what it represented for me. It represented being free and not being afraid to let things happen in my body. And the reason I say that is because during this Kundalini process, I also would have other things that would happen to me. So in this relaxation process, and at different points where the energy wasn't moving and I was laying there flat, I don't know what made me do it, but what I did was I would take my energy and I would try to pull it up out of my body. So at first I didn't know why I was doing it, but then months and months and months and months later, I feel like maybe I was trying to astral project, maybe. I guess that's what I was doing. I don't know why I was doing it, but I did. And so as I was doing that, trying to pull this energy up out of my body, I started feeling these vibrations all over. Like they were like little bubbles, and then I could move them up and down. That was nice. Like I said, when I first became awake, there was a lot of things that happened to me. Most of those things no longer happen now, but they did happen then. So I'm sure it's just part of the awakening process. And so I felt the vibrations that I was able to control and move in my body. I also started doing Reiki on myself. And I have no idea how I started doing that, but because before this awakening process, I never did it. I heard the word one time before, and when I heard the word, I immediately Googled it and I sent my best friend a message. I was like, this sounds so cool. I'm going to do this one day. Conversation was 3 minutes, less than that. Never said anything else about it afterwards, and never said anything else about it even before that day. And so that was maybe like a year before all of this happened. And so back to the awakening part, I started doing Reiki on myself. And the way I started doing it on myself is because when I was in meditation, actually it was when I was laying down flat and allowing the vibrations and the Kundalini and all of that to go throughout my body, I noticed that my hands started moving by themselves, and I would allow them to move by themselves and do whatever they wanted to do. And so I didn't know why I was doing it, but as I said, as this Kundalini was coming up, I allowed myself to be okay with things and not needing an explanation as to why they were going on. And I'm 100% sure that's because of that feeling that I was feeling within. that gave me the okay, that gave me the guidance to know that this is what you're supposed to be doing. This is okay. This is helping you. So that knowing let me know that, okay, Crystal, it's okay to move your hands. And so some of the things that I was doing would be like this, or it would be like this. And so some of the movements, I started Googling what it was, and it was Reiki. And I was like, oh my goodness, this is what I've been doing. And I had no idea that I was actually doing it, because when I looked it up like a year or so before, I just looked up a brief description of what it was. A person that was an energy healer, and they just, what I saw was basically they put their hand over your body and that was it. And I was like, that's cool. And you helping people? How cool is that? And to me, when I looked at it, I was like, okay, this looks like easy. Like, I don't know if it's real or not, but it looked easy. That was my initial mindset. But of course, it was more to it than that. Something within me connected with it, and I wasn't able to put the two together yet. So, as I was learning this and doing all of this in my awakening process, I realized that I'm a healer. I had a aura picture done. It basically, from the aura picture, it showed that there was a lot of healing capabilities within me. I know from my characteristics, and I know within, and I know from the fact that I immediately learned how to do Reiki without going to a class or being taught or anything, that this is what I'm supposed to be doing. I will say that maybe like a year or so later, I actually did take a class and got certified in Reiki. And for me, I'm just really, really frugal. And so that's why it took me like a year to actually take the class and get certified, because I didn't want to spend the money. Because the classes, yeah, like you're gonna, like, it's a technique that you learn, and it's something that, the way I look at it, it was passed down from the person that originated it, or that came to it, that had the information come to them. So it was kind of passed down. I feel like it has gotten kind of watered down maybe online, but I took it from an actual person who took it from somewhere else. So it was more like more interaction, more of a connection. I feel like there were different things that I learned by being there in that session with that person, as opposed to maybe doing it online, if that is even an option. So I will say in my Reiki class that for me, I feel like it came easier actually doing it, because I had been practicing on myself for so long. And even before I took the class, I had a friend that let me practice on him, and one of my coworkers let me practice on him as well. And so that kind of helped me build up my confidence a little bit. And so I was glad that I was actually taking it, because it made me feel a little more validated, I guess, in it. And so from there, I was like, yeah, this is exactly what I'm supposed to be doing. It feels so natural, and I know 100% that as I'm healing and as I am sending energy to the person, that I'm being led and I'm being guided. Because honestly, I do things and I know that I'm just supposed to be doing it. I can't tell you how I know it. I just know that this is what's supposed to be happening, and I'm supposed to be in a certain position. My hand's supposed to be doing certain things. My head's supposed to be turned a certain way, and I just do it. I don't worry about, how do I know, is this the right place? Is my hand close enough? Should it be up? Should it be down? Should I be here? Should I be there? I just know that whatever I'm doing is exactly how I am supposed to be doing it. And for anyone that may not have heard of or know what it is, it actually does work. And from the information I received, and just from talking to people and what I believe, is that you do have to be a little bit more willing or open-minded in order to get the best impact of it. You will still get impacted if you don't fully believe, because it's energy and it's positivity and it's for your higher and greater good. So you'll still get what your body is supposed to get, but to get the biggest impact, I believe that you have to be a little bit more open to the process and to receiving, because a lot of time we can have mental blocks, and that those mental blocks, it can be what cause the pain. If it is a pain in your body that is the reason why you're getting the energy healing, it could be something self-initiated, or it could be any number of things. But just know that, be open when you're receiving, be open about the idea of receiving these energy healings, because they really, really, really do work, and you can feel it. After I got certified, a different coworker allowed me to practice on him, and he said I could actually feel it. He said I can feel it. And for some reason, when he said he can feel it, I pictured the color blue. As he was speaking, even now, the color blue is running through my mind as he's saying he was able to literally feel something going through his leg, because he had surgery on his knee, and one of his knees, actually both of his knees was messing with him, but two different reasons. And so as I was practicing and doing my energy healing on him, he was just like, man, I walk differently after you send me energy than before you did it. So when we would go to the gym in my building, and so before we go to the gym, he would be limping, and after I finish, he wasn't walking like fully straight, but he was definitely better than he was before I started, or before I was able to give him energy. And so when I say give energy, that's what Reiki is. Reiki is basically me pulling energy, and energy is all around us, is everywhere. Pulling energy, sending it to someone's body, and because it's energy, it knows exactly where it's supposed to go in your body. So I'm being used as a vessel, to connect the energy that is all around us, and I'm sending it to your body. And once it goes to your body, it knows exactly where it's supposed to go to. So it goes there and it does the healing itself. So although I am called a healer, what I am is more of the vessel that's being used to help you heal yourself. That's how it works, because our bodies heal itself. Our bodies know what it's supposed to do and know what we need automatically. It just sometimes need help. There could be blockages, there could be anything. So that's what the healing does. And for me, again, I learned it during my awakening process. And there were a lot of other things that I did in my awakening process, and some of them, actually most of them, left me, but the healing is still here with me. And so I know this is what I'm supposed to be doing, because the other things are not as dominant in my everyday life as the healing is. So let's say, for example, something else I was doing was automatic writing. And so I would wake up in the middle of the night and just feel like I'm supposed to be writing. Or maybe not in the middle of the night. It could be before I get ready to go to bed. And I would just start writing. And writing and writing and writing and writing. And I didn't know what I was saying, but it was just coming to me. And whatever was coming to me, I would write. And it was things that was very helpful, and it helped me separate, because some of the writing was talking about how there's an I and there's a me, and there was the I and the me are two different people, but it's all talking about myself, and it's talking about us as a collective, as a people. It's really good. I'll see if I can find some and maybe read a portion of it, because when you understand that within us we have an I and we have a me, and these are just the words that my guides or my higher self was telling me at the time to help me during my process. And so I'm sure part of that is the ego, part of that is the pure consciousness. So it was just a separation, and it was just beautiful, and it was just like, wow, like I'm receiving this information, and wow, like where is it coming from? And there was so much love that you can feel it. So there were a lot of wonderful and good things that were going on and partaking in that. And even now, as I'm talking and just thinking about it and feel it, I can feel the energy just running. I can feel it in my hands right now. So maybe as I was showing you guys the Reiki positions, maybe it kind of triggered it because I'm really feeling it. So I don't know if you can see anything because sometimes people can see things in the video, but there's like a particular spot where it's really heavy right now. So if you see anything, let me know where you see it at, and I'll tell you where it was feeling like the heaviest at on me. So yeah, so that was one of the things that I did that I don't have strong that strong gift now. So now if I try to do automatic writing, it's going to be much, much, much harder for me to do it because I would have to block out my thoughts. My thoughts are going 90 miles an hour right now. And during that time in my awakening, I was so settled and I was so calm, and it was peace. It was a lot of peace that was going on. So the automatic writing was one thing I was doing. I also went to a couple of psychic development classes because my intuition had kicked up a notch. It's not as good as like some people who automatically hear spirit and they know where it's supposed to, what they're supposed to say and who it's supposed to go to. But it was there, and it had never been there as far as I know, or rather had paid attention to. So for me, in these classes, basically we would go through exercises that would help us connect with spirit. One exercise that I remember was there would be a bowl of water, and then we would have one person, which would be the giver. They would put their hand in the water and basically just let it sit there for a few seconds, then take it out. So while this person has their hand in the water, who's ever going to do the reading is outside of the room. So they don't know whose hand is in the water, right? So after that person takes their hand out of the water, wipe it off, they sit down. So then let's say for me, I was outside of the room while all of this was going on. Once I come back inside, I put my hand in the water and try to see what I pick up on or what I can sense. And so the one time that I done this exercise, what I picked up on was that, and I'm laughing because I automatically knew who it was, because I feel like he kind of gave himself away. So that part, I guess I was kind of cheated out of because I didn't have a chance to figure out who it was because he kind of gave himself away. I don't remember what he did that gave it away, but he gave it away. But what I did do was, what I was able to pick up on or sense was that he had a toothache, or there was something that was going on with his mouth. So as I had my hand in there, I did realize that my tooth started hurting on this side. And I was like, why is my tooth hurting? So it's those sort of things that you have to pick up on and pay attention to when using your psychic senses and abilities to help you connect with spirit and connect with the person. And so I told him that, and he was like, no, it's not hurting. And so I don't know if it was his girlfriend or fiance, whoever was sitting next to him, and she's like, babe, your tooth was hurting like right before we left the house. And he's like, oh yeah, I do have a toothache. And I was like, okay. I was like, that was pretty good, Crystal. The fact that you were able to realize that your tooth was hurting and that this pain was not yours and that it was you connecting with this person. So that I was like, oh, okay, that's kind of cool. So I haven't did that exercise lately, so I don't know how that would work, but that was one of the things that I had been doing. Something else that I started doing in my awakening was that I felt the need to go outside and be in nature. And I stay here in the city, so it's not going to be like real forest type nature or anything like that. The closest I'm going to get to nature is going to be a park. And so I would start going to parks, and I have this one park that I call my park, and I don't go to it that often just because of of the connection that I had when I went there. It was this park that it's not too far from me, but there are lots of trees. It's not even like a real park because there's no playground. There's no there like it's just mainly just for walking, and it has a lot of trees. And so I went there, and I had no idea why I was supposed to go to that particular park. But when I went to that park, I found some sunflowers, and yellow is one of my favorite colors. And I was never a fan of flowers, but I've always had a connection with sunflowers. And so once I came to the tree or the bush that had the sunflowers on it, I knew that was the space that I was supposed to be in. I knew that that was the reason why I was supposed to go to that particular park. And once I got to that park and saw the tree, there was a bench that was right across the way from the tree. So I just sat there on the bench looking at the sunflowers, connecting with the sunflowers. I felt some type of connection with the sunflowers. I don't know if they were giving me energy. I don't know if it was something that I was supposed to give them, but there was an exchange there. And there was something that opened me up while I was there. And I'm sitting there and I'm crying. And I feel like I have my head down because I don't remember the people walking by. But I know there were people walking by. So even in the midst of that distraction of the people walking by, I still was able to 100% fully connect. And even as connecting, or when you connect that your body starts getting hot, you start, because your vibration starts raising. So I'm hot. I'm like very, 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 very hot. I think I only bought like one bottle of water, and at this point the water is gone. And after I finished my connecting, I actually I took a picture of me standing in front of the flower, and there's a screensaver on my text messages, like the background of my text messages, like me and the sunflowers. And so, because I always want to remember that moment, and that's why I don't go there that often, because I don't want it to be diluted with other moments of me just going there just for exercising or something non-related. So I only go there when I want to feel a connection. And so there are other parks that I go to just because they have a lot of trees that I connect with as well. It's just not going to be that same type of true connection that I had that time at that park. But back to me getting hot and my vibration raising. So as I said, I only had one bottle of water. And so now this is a new park. I'm trying to figure out what's the best way to get back to the car, because I'm like, oh my goodness, I hope I don't pass out, because this heat is new to me. I don't know why I'm hot. I'm like, I need water, and I need water right now. And so I'm like, oh my goodness, let me make it back. Let me make it back. Let me make it back. And so I made it back to the car. I get to the car, still have no water. I cut the air on blast. I was like, should I stop at like a gas station or somewhere and get some water, or should I try to make it to the house? So I make it to the house, come home, get some water, drink a ton of water, and I'm still super hot. I'm so hot, people. I did something I'd never done in my life. I took a cold shower, and I've never taken a cold shower, and I was still hot. Cold, completely cold, water on me, and I'm still hot. I take the shower, and it takes me forever to cool my body down, and I was like, what in the world? What is this? I had experiences before, like during meditating or channeling or doing my energy healing, where I would get high and I knew that it meant that my vibration was raising, but I had never been this high for this long, and I just couldn't cool down. And I was like, I didn't know what to do. So of course I knew it was normal, and I knew that this was happening, but I just felt like, you know how you just always want more. You want to talk to somebody that's went through it. You want to talk to somebody to just tell you that it's okay, instead of like being okay with the knowing that's within you. And so that's what I did. I was okay with the knowing that was within me because I knew that's what that was okay. And it was just part of me continuing to open my mind and my conscious and expand and connecting more. It was just me being able to connect more. And when you see me use my hand motions, that's part of me doing things where I don't necessarily know why I'm doing them. I know that it's a language that I'm supposed to be using to connect. And so I no longer question it. I just allow my hands to do whatever they need to do as I'm talking because it's something spiritual that's going on there. And me, my thought process in this dimension here, I know that I'm not going to figure it out. I'm not going to say I'm not, but I know that I don't have to figure it out because I know that spirit is leading and guiding me to do it because it's something that I'm supposed to be doing. And I've accepted that there are a lot of things that I'm supposed to be doing and I just do it and I don't have to question it. I don't need to know the answer. Some things I do. But it's something like this where it's no consequence to doing it. I'm like, why not? Why not just go with the flow and allow my body to just move however it wants to move? So those were a couple a couple more of the things that I remember experiencing during my awakening. And so we'll talk some more about some other things that happened on the next video. So thank you for joining and I will see you later. Have a good day.